Hi everyone, it's a beautiful morning here in front of the greenhouse after a bit of rain last night. Now I've taken on the avatar name of the greenhouse doctor. However, I have no qualifications in horticulture or anything of that kind. Most of my experiences are purely experimental, and I wanted to share that with you. I thought the name was interesting and might attract some interest. Now today we're going to be talking about hanging baskets in the greenhouse. Now you can see at the front of the greenhouse on either side in the corners I've got two hanging baskets, and I'll explain that a little bit more a little bit later. Now inside the greenhouse you'll see I've got hanging baskets all around the periphery. I've tried hanging them in the middle, but they just simply get in the way. Now, if you have enough space in your greenhouse, it's a great addition because it adds to the area for planting. The greenhouse, as you know, is premium real estate for planting, and you want to make the most of the available space, and hanging baskets will allow you to increase your available space for planting various things. I even use the baskets to contain certain seeds and other bits and pieces. But let's go over here and have a look at some of the things. So I'm propagating some sun gold tomato there. I've got Vietnamese mint here and strawberries, various other seedlings, and over here I've got your run-of-the-mill mint. Now the thing with mint and Vietnamese mint is that it tends to run and spread, and when you put it into the ground it tends to overtake everything, invade, and is a real pain to try and get rid of later on when it infiltrates between all your other plantings. So hanging baskets are a great way to keep them under control. It also makes it very easy to harvest and collect when you need to collect for your cooking. You don't have to bend down and use your back too much. Now if you have a look at my hanging basket, it's got the usual coconut fiber on the outside, and underneath what I've done is I put this pond liner. Now you can use plastic or anything of the sort. What this achieves is that it maintains some of the moisture around the roots and around the very bottom of the basket. Now baskets dry out very quickly, particularly outside if it's windy, on a sunny day, because the fiber conducts the water down to the bottom, and then it dries out very quickly. This maintains some of the moisture and allows it to wick back up into the soil above, and maintains a decent moisture in the basket and retains the moisture better. Now the thing with this is I've punched some holes, if we can see a hole here, below the highest level of the plastic or the liner. Now that allows the water obviously to slowly drain through, and from that point down you've got water collecting under there as a reservoir. Now you could leave it without the hole, but then the water will drain out further up here. Now the idea about this is that the water will drain out here, and this section here of fiber is less likely to rot, because this coconut fiber will tend to rot very quickly in when it's kept extremely moist, as it is when it's got all this plastic around it. So this sort of setup is very good for maintaining moisture inside the hanging basket in a greenhouse. At the same time, allowing you to preserve most of the coconut fiber. Now when it does rot down the bottom, you often have to change it when you have a setup where you don't have this plastic. Now normally in a hanging basket, if you use it outside, you wouldn't maybe consider placing this plastic because it's not the most aesthetic thing. But inside a greenhouse, for the purposes of herbs, it's a perfect solution to reduce the water requirement and the water loss. Now if you come over here, you'll see my seedling trays, and I use that hanging basket for the purpose of my seedlings. Firstly, it brings the seedlings higher so they're not obscured from the light from the other big plantings in the area. But also with seedlings, as you may know, they're susceptible to slugs and snails that will attack them when they're very young. And the hanging basket is a perfect situation because the snails can't get up here, or it's very difficult for them to do so. They'd have to climb up the side of the greenhouse, along these beams, down the chains, and then eventually to your seedlings. So it gives you a very good separation from some of the pests that can damage your seedlings. So that's another useful application of the hanging basket in the greenhouse. Just as an aside, I've been trying to grow gerberas from seed, and here you see a few in pots in the hanging baskets. They were very, very difficult to get to this stage. In fact, most of the seeds never germinated, but I'm very happy that we've got those. Right, and over here we have more seedlings in a hanging basket, and as I say, very useful to keep away the slugs and snails. Now in many cases the slugs and snails will eventually come into your greenhouse. When you start off with a new greenhouse, they may not be there, but once your greenhouse is quite established, they'll find their way somehow. And often the slugs and snails will lay their eggs in the soil, and if you sow directly into the ground, which you may choose to, you may find that they come under attack from the slugs and snails, and you'd have to undertake other measures to try and control that. These hanging baskets on the outside of the greenhouse I use to transfer the seedling trays out to them once the seedlings have reached a certain development, so that they don't get too hot inside the greenhouse. So that's the purpose for these. Anyway, that's been another adventure in my greenhouse. I hope you like it. I'll see you next time.